My name is Jeannie, and I'm the mother of a type 1 diabetic. I am not a medical professional, so I'm not trying to give any medical advice, and I am just sharing tips and information that I think would be helpful for newly diagnosed type 1 parents. So I do, however, expect you to not take my word as gold and to research everything for yourself. I'm basically just giving you the general information, and then you should go and research from there. So with that being said, this video is about coming home and just some things that I found useful, just some tips that I found useful in the very beginning. And honestly, if you can comment at the bottom of this, if there's other type 1 parents out there who can comment and say this was helpful for me, I would love those comments down in the bottom there, because you know how it was when you first started out, and so we're just trying to help out. So when I first came home with my child, I tell you, one of the things that I noticed was that a lot of the foods that she particularly loved were high in carbs, of course, but also that I had no clue what a serving was. Or I know what a serving is, but I didn't know. Like, for instance, ramen noodles, which we never eat anymore, by the way. But we had ramen noodles, and actually one package is 2 servings. I never knew that. So finding out and paying attention, you're going to be paying attention, very close attention, to the serving size and how many carbs your child is getting. So with that being said, one thing that was very helpful for me was I have an index card box in my kitchen with low-carb versions of all the favorite foods that she loves. But I also have serving size and carb ratio. So writing that down and having that ready-made for you makes learning the calculations, and which was very time-consuming in the very beginning, was to sit there and try to figure out, well, what was the correction? What was this? What was that? It was kind of difficult. So having their foods written down, the serving size, and how many carbs each type of meal was, like a half a cup of green beans, or a cup of spaghetti, or whatever it is. So that was really helpful. The other thing that's really helpful is having a scale in the kitchen. I can't tell you how many times a day I use a scale. You can switch it from grams to ounces to whatever, and it makes a huge difference and time saver, and you actually know exactly how much food your child is getting. Have free snacks on hand. My child, especially in the very beginning, having normal blood glucose levels actually made her feel symptomatic, as if she was low, even though she wasn't low, because she had been running so high prior to diagnosis. Trying to bring her down and stabilize her into normal levels created those lows. So my daughter felt like she was starving in the very beginning, and having those low-carb snacks on hand was crucial. Because I just made a drawer for her, and she was able to go in there and grab herself a sugar-free Jell-O or a mozzarella cheese stick, and we were good to go. So another thing that was really helpful, by the way, because they can never have enough fluids. Type 1 diabetics really, you just cannot keep them hydrated enough. We carry a water bottle around everywhere we go, and no carb drinks is highly important, which there is a organic lemonade called Leaf and Love that has absolutely no carbs in it, available, that I buy mine from Amazon. So that's something that is great, especially if you don't want to feed them Crystal Light all the time, because it has a lot of bad additives into it. Keep them hydrated. And I was going to say ice. I do a lot of ices, the shaved ice. She loves them, and it keeps her hydrated. And if your child's getting sick and they're running ketones, and of course you need those fluids to flush out the ketones. So, ice, a little slushy machine is awesome. Let's see, what else? I guess you know the difference between carbs and fats and proteins. Carbs being the food product. I don't know exactly what to say, but it has the most impact on your sugar, I would say. Proteins can actually convert over to glucose with the absence of carbohydrates. Proteins will actually convert over into glucose, the glucose that your body needs. And fats actually slow down the absorption of your food. So say you eat pizza, don't be surprised if you eat pizza at 6 o'clock and by 10 or 11 your child is extremely high, because the carbs and all of that are still in there. It's just the fat slows down the absorption of those carbs. So okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about is to keep a food diary. Not only with the food, but medicine. On a day-to-day basis, you should be writing down everything. And I mean everything. Like if your child played that day, if after lunch your child played for X amount of hours, or your child went to the park, or you had a doctor's appointment that day, or whatever it is, because there's so many different things that affect your child's blood sugar. So it can be stress, or hormones, or activity level. Your muscles can actually transfer sugar back and forth between your bloodstream, which I think is crazy. But, so sometimes the adrenaline kicks in and your child goes sky high, and sometimes, they go extremely low. So, I mean, that's something that you really have to pay attention to. And so, for me, keeping a diary actually helps you see trends. And even though you think you're going to remember from one day to the next what caused your child to have that low or that high, you may not necessarily remember it. So keeping a diary actually helps you to remember. And if you have a spouse and you guys work, then the other person knows as well, what's been going on. So, or what happened while you were at work. So you keep that diary. Also, if you do decide at some point that you're going to get a pump, you will need that food diary for the class. And by the way, most insurance companies don't cover a pump within the first 6 months. I don't know if they think we're going to be, we were wrongly diagnosed, or we're going to get cured in 6 months. I don't know what they think, but most insurance companies won't cover a pump in the first 6 months. So that's something you should probably look at. The other thing is, I think I wanted to discuss was pharmacy. So there are different pharmacies out there. Sometimes your insurance company has a supply company that they want you to specifically go through. Mine actually had a supply company that I started to go through. You get all your prescriptions from them. They mail them to you, easy peasy, right? Well, the supply company they wanted me to go through only had 28 gauge needles. To me, with my daughter being newly diagnosed and being only 3 years old, 28 gauge needles were not working for her fingers. She was bleeding like crazy. And so I actually found out that the hospital's pharmacy was approved on my insurance company's list, and so I actually ended up going through the pharmacy and, just pay close attention to, the size needles, that you're getting, the length of the needles. When your child is newly diagnosed and they're having to get used to being stuck constantly all the time, the size needle makes a difference. So that was my thing. The other thing with the pharmacy is make a list of your prescriptions. And I know that they give you those little papers with the barcode. That means mumbo jumbo to me. So it never fails. I go to get my daughter's prescriptions done and there's something missing, whether it be the glucose, the glucose meter, or the strips or something. There's always something missing. You think you're going to remember it all and you can't. So me, I have a checklist. I go in there with the checklist and make sure that I have everything. If you leave the pharmacy and you sign that paper or that electronic thing and you leave and you do not have your supplies, you signed and said you did. So you could possibly end up short on supplies, and I don't know if you've looked at the price of meter strips, but it could be a pretty substantial amount of money out of your pocket. So pay attention to that. Make yourself a list, And that way, you know, every single month when you go in, you can check it off and you know you have everything. The other thing is get a glucagon pen every time you go in. Most insurance companies will pay for that every single month. They expire, I think, after a year. So I have them everywhere. I have them, you know, in my purse, in my room. I have one taped in the bathroom. I have one at her school, at my church. You know, wherever you can have them, where you might be with your child or whoever might have your child, you go ahead and be giving them out, because, you know, after a few months, you'll have quite a few of them, and then you can kind of rotate them out as some expire. So if your insurance company pays for it every month, get it every month. Let's see. I guess the only other thing I want to mention on this is that, you know, you're going to start treatment, and, you know, there's so many different things that affect treatment that, you know, no matter how well you do with it, there's always going to be changes, and there's always going to need to be adjustments, and be kind to yourself. So learn together, grow together, and love each other, and that's the best you can do. So I'm sure that you'll probably find a lot of comments in the bottom for more information. Like I said, there's absolutely no way that I could bring up everything, but these were just things that really stuck out to me and helped me in the very beginning. So hopefully they will help you.